So they're not playing like lambs. They're playing like rams. They're
Yeah, you didn't watch that last game.
well. We can talk about that last game. Everybody has a stinker once in a while, so I'll talk to you about that one.
Well, I'll tell you
Um,
that last Rams game is what made me feel better about the 49ers loss to the Cardinals.
yeah, but you got to figure the Rams lost to the Titans, who somehow, some way, are the number one team in football right now. Fact check me, Gary. That's my understanding. They're the number one team in football right now.
They're
Wins and
7-2, and not the only team that's 7-2.
Yeah, but I think they have the number one rating in the league.
Oh, well, who does the ranking?
Well, they use that EPA thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which means squat.
Actually, that's what all the betting ones use to figure it out. And they're like double anybody else in the AFC. So they're like playing lights out football right now.
Well, they didn't look all that good, but the Rams just look terrible.
Yeah. And they're going to have a stinker of a game every now and then, right? So the Rams are a 4.5-point favorite.
Good.
Yeah. What do you think about that? I honestly thought that was low. And it sounds like Vegas is giving the Niners some respect there. You know.
Well, so far the Niners haven't done real well when they were favored to win.
No, they haven't.
And I'll tell you, by watching that game, the quarterback there for the Lambs,
Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford didn't show me anything.
Man, I'll tell you what, that guy's burning up the league, though. I took a look at what he's been doing this season, and he's doing exactly what they brought him in to do. Just like games like this one coming up, go against a team that you're supposed to beat and put them away. Put the nail in the coffin, end it. That's the maturity that Stafford brought to this team, and I think that trade was a great trade for the Rams. You know, I asked this question. I'll ask you this question. So you watched that game from last week, the Rams game, and the way I'm looking at this, I'm thinking there is no reason to believe that our secondary can keep up with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods and the rest of that team. I think they can stop the run because the Rams don't have a good run, but their passing game is.
Yeah, our D line is going to have to step up. That's if our D line steps up, we'll be in the game. And I think they will. I'm counting an awful lot on Minshew.
Yeah. So you watched that game from last week. Watching their offensive line, do you see holes? Because it's funny how well they're passing. I mean, Stafford's got a quarterback rating of 111 for the season. That's really high. I mean, the guy's playing.
What was it last week?
I didn't catch that. I just looked at the whole season. I mean, they were slammed 28-16. But again, it was against Tennessee. But you know what? The Rams defense only gave up a total, that's passing and running, of 194 yards in that game. So, though it looks like, if you look at some of the numbers, looks like they got beat up pretty bad, their defense actually held pretty well.
Their D line didn't look all that strong to me either.
Really? Donaldson didn't have a nice game?
Nope.
Interesting. What'd they do?
But we've got the Donald killer. That's Brunskill. He's been able to handle Donald in the past.
You're right. I mean, we've won 4 in a row against the Rams. And we won them both last year, and Donaldson arguably could have been the defensive player of the year last year, right?
Yes.
So yeah. So
I think we've got a real good chance of winning this game.
Tell me why.
Because our offense is going to catch on fire. We're not going to have the fumbles. I'll bet you we don't have the fumbles that we had in the last game.
Boy,
we're going to have the center of the defensive line going, which also brings about the linebackers are more powerful. Greenlaw's coming back.
Oh, is Greenlaw? That's right.
Green,
There's not one player on IR this week. Not one. Not one regular starter is on IR for the first time in a long time. So I didn't realize that until I was just kind of rifling through some stats this morning.
Yeah, there was a talk about him coming back last week, but they decided to let him make sure they had everything going. So he's coming back.
Yeah.
And so we'll have linebackers, we'll have a defensive line, and hopefully the DBs can do their thing.
There's not one DB injured. So we got a full squad.
Well, we don't have our best DB. JV.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's out for the season, right? Or at least he's on IR. I don't know. No, you know what? I mean, I just read this morning. It said nobody. I looked at the IR list, and there was some Rams on there, but nobody from the Niners.
Well, you know, McGlinchey is. He's out for the year.
He's out for the year. Okay, so they just don't count those guys.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah,
but I think we'll put up a good showing. I mean, I think it's going to be a coin toss as who wins.
Well, the Rams and the Niners, I mean, those guys are almost 500 against each other.
Well, there is a history there.
In their history, yeah. Yeah,
very first game. Those Dons.
That's right. That's right. The Los Angeles Dons had the same name as USF. But yeah, our very first game, we beat those guys. Very first game in 1946. That was our opponent. We beat them. And, you know, after all these years, I don't remember the numbers. I saw them, but we're almost 500. I mean, because the Rams had some pretty good years, you know. So you add it all up, and they've been close games. And to me, this is truly our rival. The Rams are a rival, not any other team in the division.
The Rams are a rival, but we enjoy watching the Sea Chickens getting beat more than the
we do. But you see what happened to them when they didn't have Wilson. I mean, they were toast. So, you know, within the next few years, he's going to hang it up. He's been in the league a long time now. And that team, they're not going to be the same team. And it's going to be, you know, right back to the Rams and the Niners again. So I don't see Seattle. I see Seattle as owning us for the past decade. That was painful, but I don't think they're our rival like the Rams.
Well, it's living in the Pacific Northwest that helps breed that hatred for the Sea Chickens.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, I don't, even right now, that man, their fans are quiet, you know. So, hey, let's stay with the Rams. We can talk about Seattle when we have them up, which is in the next couple of weeks, right? So, you know, I'm worried about our quarterback position as well, because obviously adding Von Miller, a shoe-in Hall of Famer who's still in his prime.
Now I'll debate that.
Oh, really? I think Von Miller and Aaron Donald, you put those two guys together, and Jimmy's going to be in big trouble if our offensive line doesn't hold up. And I've seen just on TV watching after the trade some film, and I don't think he's lost a step. But you watched the whole game last week.
Well, he wasn't playing last week.
Oh, they didn't start it. They didn't put him in at all. I thought they did.
Not that I remember seeing.
Okay. So maybe that's even more dangerous. We don't know what they're going to do with the guy. And they've got a stout defense.
They didn't look quite so stout last week.
Yeah. Yeah, no. They got beat up last week. I don't mean to go back and forth between offense and defense, but there was one thing that I wanted to point out that, we talked about the rushing game briefly not being the strength. Their number one rusher is Darrell Henderson, and he's carried the ball 121 times for 562 yards. So the guy's only carrying the ball 62 yards a game, and he's their leading rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an advantage for our defense there. The reason I went back to that was because we were talking about defense.
Uh-huh.
If we don't have to focus on a running back like we did last week, that certainly lets us pin our ears back and go after Stafford. And it also gives our defensive backs some help, right? Because they're going to know the passes are coming, and hopefully we'll coach them up for that, right? Because the Rams, if a team is running for 63 yards a game and they're winning the way the Rams have won, then again, Stafford's the guy you got to worry about, and those great receivers. So what do you think? You think I hit on something there with their running game? What you watched it? What'd you see?
Yeah, I think that's that might spark our defense.
What do you think's the biggest thing that's going to put us over the edge?
Yeah, our big thing is that we still need to score.
Yeah.
And we need to finish drives and not with the field goal.
Yes. When it's 3rd and 2, don't just try to plow up the middle every single time. Man, I tell you, and I was negative about this in the last game. All these 4th down conversions or 3rd down and short conversions that we missed just drove me crazy. And we tried to bounce juice out on that 4th and 2 near the goal line, and they just picked it right up. They saw him back there. They knew what we were going to do. We were going to give it to the big guy and try to let him fall forward for 2 yards. And they, doubled and tripled the guy, and he never got any. So they tackled him for a loss. So,
well, that'd be a good time to bring in Trey and let him do an option.
Option would work if they actually give him the free rein to throw the ball. Just like I said earlier, I don't want to see this guy just come in on running downs. I want to see him pass the ball.
Well, yeah, it has to be. You can't put it in a box. If it's a pass run option, he either hand it off, pass it, or run it himself.
Yeah.
Let him have it and give him the reins, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll get him. that'll get him schooled pretty well with trying to help read the defenses and have to think on the fly.
They kind of got to coach him up that way, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they can't just say, okay, you're going to be the little
The decoy.
little mix. Yeah, when we mix it up a little bit, you're going to be the guy we do it with, and we want you to run around the outside, see what you can get. I mean, it'll drive me nuts if they do that. You will hear me complain bitterly, like I always do. But if you look at our team and you look at the Rams and you'll just take the two offenses, Stafford's thrown for 23 touchdowns this year. That's a high number. And with that QBR of 111, I mean, the guy's playing lights out, right? Garoppolo, I don't think he's having a bad season, but when I looked at the numbers, they were a little surprising. Now, he did miss a couple of games, but he's thrown for 1,750 yards. So he's averaging 219 yards a game. And he's got 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So I'm not going to put all that on Jimmy. I mean, if he's getting killed back there because our offensive line can't hold, it's not Jimmy's fault.
We haven't had Ayuk most of the season either, even though he's been out there.
Yeah, that's
finally
true.
Got him back last week.
They've had Sanu all year too. I've always liked that guy, and he's older and he's lost a step. But you can put that guy in the slot and put him in the flats, and get a 5 or 6 yard completion for the guy. And they were running him across the middle to get killed this weekend, and he did get killed. I don't know if you remember that one play where they ran him on that slant across the middle, and he just got hammered. They had to go to a commercial and help him off the field. I mean, that's not the way to use a guy like that. But they can use a guy like that, and they're not. Just my opinion,
Well, what about OBJ? You want to pick him up?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. The only issue that I have, he obviously has to be babysat by a coaching staff very closely.
Yeah.
The guy's a head case. So the only thing that I would worry about is that we didn't have a coaching staff that was strong enough to help keep him in line. I mean, Tom Coughlin was his first coach, right? You're not going to mess around with Tom Coughlin. The guy was a Marine sergeant, right? But Kyle Shanahan and company, they're not Tom Coughlin's Giants organization, that's for sure. And ever since he left the Giants, I mean, he's been a head case. So I don't know. What do you think? Should we snag that guy? See what he can do?
Well, he might help, but I think he's more of an infection than anything else.
Yeah.
And there's other wide receivers available out there that I think I would go to. We need a fast guy.
Well, he's a fast guy.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's a really fast guy. I mean,
it'd be nice to get a fast guy that doesn't destroy the team.
Yeah. It's the locker room that's the problem with that guy. On the field, man, you love him, right?
Yeah.
He can stretch the field. If you see him and Debo out wide, what's the other team going to do with Kittle in there? By the way, I took a look at Kittle's numbers on the season as well. Not impressive. Now he also missed a couple games, right? He has 25 completions for 328 yards and 1 touchdown. That's it.
And how many games?
Well, I think he missed 2, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Time for
I
the
think he missed
foghorn.
two. He missed. Yeah, you got a foghorn me too. I mean, he missed the game before the bye, and then everybody, of course, was out for the bye. And then he missed the game after the bye. So I think he only missed 2 games because he had the bye as an advantage, right?
We'll have to look that up.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's the case. And if that's the case, we're either not using him right, which is possible, or something else is going on.
I think he missed more than that, but
Yeah, I'll look it up after this. We can update it in the notes, or maybe somebody watching it could
yeah, maybe someone will
yeah, somebody watching
in
it could put a message on there,
put it in the comments.
straighten us Fogies out a little bit here. But all in all, I mean, he makes some big catches, but he's made some mistakes this year. I think it's just contagious. You know, I think losing is contagious. I think winning is contagious. I mean, who would have thought the Titans would be this good? I didn't. I had no idea. I had no clue they were this good. And I mean, they're burning up the league right now. So you just never know, I guess. But these weapons that seem so awesome for the last couple of years just aren't panning out this year. Elijah Mitchell, the guy's got 89 carries on the year for 469 yards. He's getting 58.6 yards per game. Now he's been hurt. He's been beat up bad, and he's out there trying to carry the whole load. So I love the guy. But given the situation that he's in, I think these numbers make sense. And I think it's too bad. I think it's a real shame.
Well, Wilson should be back for the Rams.
Yeah. Oh, well, he is for sure. He is for sure back for the Rams. And Trey Sherman, too. He's got 135 yards on 31 carries. Not a real good percentage. And he's got 1 touchdown. We're just not mixing it up. Debo is having a great season.
Yes, he is.
882 receiving yards on 49 receptions. So he's on fire. But he's not a barn burner. He's not that speed guy, right? He's just got those great.
Well, he's not slow, but he's not one of those track guys.
Right. He runs such beautiful routes that he makes up for the speed in other ways because he's so smart.
Well, he's really quick.
He's really quick.
And so is Ayuk.
Yeah. And those guys can cut.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you that both of those guys can run really crisp routes. And I'll throw Ayuk in there as well. Now that he's back, maybe things change. I don't know. This will be a really good test for us. A very good test for us because we're not injured for the first time in a long time. And we're playing against a team that's a little bit banged up, but has championship aspirations. Every bit as big as we did. But we find ourselves trailing them right now. So,
yeah, this will be a real litmus test.
It will. I think if the Niners lose this game, then I think the season's done, and I really think it's time to make.
I don't allow that thinking.
When
the Niners win this game, we continue on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I sat through too many bad seasons. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just don't know about this team yet. Let me ask you a question. And looking forward a little bit. will set the way back to go forward on this one. So if the Niners end up with a mediocre record and they end up not going to the playoffs, and Shanahan's had the team for 4 years now, Lynch has had the team for 4 years now. If you're Jed York, do you hang on to those guys? Or do
You better believe it.
yeah? Yeah? Build on these last 4 years?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? You know, I don't disagree. I just don't have an opinion.
Well, who are you going to get? Who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah, that's always the question. And as soon as
You're going to get a
replace
college
them,
coach in here that,
yeah.
you know, the 49ers have done that before and found some real stinkers.
Oh man.
How about Chip?
You know what?
Chip Kelly.
Take a look at this, Gary. Chip Kelly and Kyle Shanahan right now have the same record in the same amount of games played. Take a look. I saw that this morning. I almost choked on my tongue. But that's kind of scary. You're silent.
How was Bill Walsh's first years?
2-14. He was awful. You know? But he sure made a good draft pick that year.
Well, that's what you're going to find out about Shanahan. We'll find out how his draft picks are.
Well, we've kind of had some time now to look at that, right?
Well, haven't had much time to look at his draft picks.
Yeah. And by the way, it's not fair to compare Shanahan to Walsh. You know, I wish it was, but it's just not. I mean, Walsh went in there and fixed a broken organization. When Shanahan came in, he was not asked to do that. He was just asked to be a football coach. And Bill Walsh was asked to change everything. He met with back then they called them secretaries. Now, of course, they call them administrative assistants, which is a more correct term, I think. But he used to meet with them every week. He'd meet with the receptionist every week and ask how are calls going? How do you answer the phone? How do you do this? He met with everybody. Everybody felt like Walsh cared about them. You know, I mean, it was just a completely different feel with Eddie, and you know, it was just.
Well, you can only be who you are.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I'd like to hear a little more from Lynch vocally about what he thinks. He's been pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard a lot out of the guy. It seems like we should. What do you think?
No, I think you're probably right. But
I think
kind of hard to talk about something that's not happening.
Well, there's something happening, but he probably doesn't want to talk about it. You know, I don't know. Gary. I hope you're right.
So where are we going to watch the game?
You know, that's a great question, Gary. And I think I'll catch up with you at Heathen Farrell Public Brewing House in downtown Vancouver on Washington Boulevard. Please come on down and join us. We had a nice crowd last week and some new folks that showed up that weren't even aware that that was going on. They were 49er fans. They joined us, watched the whole game, and they'll be bringing more people with them next week. So please come down and join us and then see how much fun we have. Then you can invite your friends too. Even for the Seattle game, invite your Seattle friends. We always have Seattle fans there for the Seattle game. So it just makes it a little more fun.
You can always contact us and tell us how you became a 49ers fan.
That's right.
Online or live there at the Heathen Farrell Brewing House.
We're looking for those stories. We want to know how people got to be 49er fans. And Gary, that's your gig, man. So,
well, it's time to say that If you don't have a past, there is no future.
That's correct.
We'll see you next podcast.
All right. We'll see you, Gary. See you,
Bye,
everybody.
Rich.
Go Niners.
First down! Thank you. 8067 67. Last four digits. Somebody had win. Hey, all right, we got